An attorney working for a firm representing Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign is being charged with allegedly making false statements to the FBI. The indictment of Michael Sussmann says he, quote, lied about the capacity in which he was providing allegations to the FBI regarding possible links between a Russian bank and a company owned by former President Trump. CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins me now with more. Hi there, Jessica. So this charge comes out of special counsel John Durham's investigation of the Russia investigation. Tell us more about the charge against Michael Sussmann. What is he accused of lying about?
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is the investigation into the investigation. And as you said in the introduction a little bit, what Michael Sussmann is potentially going to be charged with lying about, the prosecutors here are going to ask the grand jury to indict. They still need to go through that process of actually indicting, is that he lied to the FBI. So when he went to the FBI in 2016, the allegation here is that he said to the FBI senior attorney, James Baker, I'm not here on behalf of a client. And then later, when he was under oath talking to Congress about a year later, he said, well, I was there in my capacity. Actually, I was representing an anonymous cybersecurity expert. Now, the allegation, based on some internal documents that indicate that maybe Mr. Sussmann had billed the Clinton campaign for his time talking to the FBI, is that, in fact, he was talking to the FBI on behalf of a client, and that that client was Hillary Clinton. And Mr. Sussmann has said, no, I can explain that internal billing. That's really inside baseball in terms of how I allocate my time. But that's the crux of the idea here, is that he told the FBI, I'm not here representing any particular client, and or it's at the very most, it's an anonymous cybersecurity expert with no relationship to the Clinton campaign. He then tells Congress, I was there in my capacity as a representative of a cybersecurity expert, and the allegation being, well, was he actually there to help the Clinton campaign?
Well, Jessica, do we know, can we expect more charges from Durham's investigation?
I think we don't know. So one of the things we know that he's looking at is what Sussmann came to the FBI with, apparently, was a potential connection between the Trump organization and a Kremlin-backed bank. We know he's been looking into that Kremlin-backed bank, Alpha, but we don't know where this is going to take him. What we know is that these charges are coming now because if Durham did not ask for these charges, the statute of limitations would run on them. So this weekend is the last moment that Durham can be indicted for lying to federal officials, because this all happened, believe it or not, 5 years ago,
Sussmann
September 2016. Sussmann, excuse me.
Sussmann could be indicted, right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So whether or not there's more to come out of this, we really only know if there are leaks in the investigation. We know that Durham has been following a number of different trails. Thus far, not a lot of indictments to come out of that.
All right, Jessica, now to another legal matter the former president is dealing with. This one involves a 1990s rape accusation from former Elle magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll, something Mr. Trump has denied. Now, his legal team wanted the suit to get pushed back so an appeals court could determine whether the United States can replace Mr. Trump as the defendant. Explain the basis for that argument.
Yeah, this gets a little bit confusing because E. Jean Carroll said to the former president, you raped me. He said, no, I didn't, and I didn't meet you, and then he said some other disparaging things. This suit is about her suing him to say, when you denied that rape allegation, you actually defamed me. So this is a kind of a backdoor way to try and litigate the potential sexual assault claims. So what happened is she sued President Trump, and then President Trump, because he was the president when he denied those accusations, said that to the Department of Justice, you need to defend me. When a government employee is sued, the Department of Justice comes in and defends them as long as they were acting in their official capacity. Now, in October, the district court judge said, President, you don't fall within the definition of government employee for the statute that allows the Department of Justice to basically stand in for you and be the defendant. And even if you did, even if you were considered to be an employee, denying a rape allegation are not statements that are made in the course of your employment as a government employee. So those are the two questions that went up to the Court of Appeals. There'll be a hearing on the end of November, November 29th, on basically whether or not the defendant will be former President Trump and or the Department of Justice.
All right, to be continued. Jessica Levinson. Jessica, always good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.